So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have Boonie here with me again. She's an ENFP and also has her own YouTube channel. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm a life coach, and I love talking about personality typology. I lean towards talking about mostly ENFPs and INFP stuff, but I would love to learn more so I can talk about the Enneagram 4 experience as well.
Right. Yeah, for my channel as well, I have mainly MBTI videos, but I also have some Enneagram videos, and I think I'll probably also be making more videos on Enneagram as well because I think it all goes together to help with our, personal development because it allows us to understand like the kind of challenges that we face and to learn to better manage the challenges that we face as well as the emotional
Mhm.
struggles. And today we'll be touching on Enneagram 4, which is, I would say it's more of a emotionally intense Enneagram type. If you know about Enneagram 4, it is basically defined as either the individualist or the romantic, depending on whatever like term that you want to use. And it is an Enneagram type that is very focused on preserving individuality. I think for me, it's like I value individuality in myself as well as other people. So it is something that I actively look out for. And I also kind of want other people to see my own individuality and significance. And I think that is something that Enneagram 4 types are very concerned about. And another thing that I want to clarify for my viewers is because I made a video basically talking about my experiences as a 5-wing 4, but I also mentioned in the video that I'm like never sure whether I'm a 5-wing 4 or 4-wing 5 because both of them are pretty strong for me. And the thing is, I find that I am quite a logical person when it comes to um, just like in daily life, but when it comes to the more like relationship with other people, I realize that my Enneagram 4 stands out more, if that makes sense. Because when it comes to like friendships and relationships, for example, I feel like the Enneagram 4 type is plays a bigger role in my life. So despite me being a logical person in general.
Mhm.
So
Am I supposed to respond? So much. You said so much.
uh,
Uh,
okay, so maybe I can ask about you. I guess like you, since you tested as a 4-wing 5, so how do you think the Enneagram 4 has, I guess like maybe impacted your understanding of yourself first?
Um, First of all, it's just very validating. I know I have a couple coach friends who use Enneagram to help their clients with personal development, and we joke about being a 4. You know, he's not a 4. I think he's a 7, and he knows my struggle to be special all the time, and so he'll be like, he'll joke around with my type because there's not many 4s in the coaching group, which I find very interesting too. But he'll say like, you know what, Boonie, you're right. You're the only person in the group who understands this experience. You're so special and unique. Like, your worldview is so different. And then it's a joke, right? But like, I know that he understands that that is an overlap on how I actually see things in the first place, anyways, because it is something that I want to preserve for myself. Like you said before, it's just important. I do believe that everyone is different in their own way. And for me to have a space to speak and offer people some type of perspective, support, information, it will be through the lens of your uniqueness and for people who have been feeling misunderstood. I think that's just where it leaves a person feeling very heavily pained. And we mentioned it last time. We didn't record it though. We talked about how like we're on the outside looking in. I know a lot of people are going to say, but that's everybody. Everybody feels like they don't belong somehow. Like everybody feels that way. I'm like, I don't think the intensity of how we feel like we don't belong is as like a lived experience for other people who feel that way. I don't think it is.
Yeah. And I think being an Enneagram 4 type obviously has its own challenges. And one of the main challenge I think is that we do tend to focus on the experience of being whenever it happens, like whenever we do get misunderstood. I feel like we tend to dwell on it sometimes. And that's what I notice is that I actually have many times when I am understood, but I tend not to dwell on that. So I mean, like I am misunderstood quite a lot, but I also have like positive experiences, and I feel like, you know, when I look at like Enneagram 7, for example, they are like very, I would say stereotypically speaking, they are like very happy types. Like as in they are like just generally have this like very light feeling about them. And I think what I learned from them is really that they are able to focus on like basically what is going well. And for Enneagram 4 types, if we are, I guess, in a more developmental phase, I think we can really like let our past affect us as well. I think that's another issue that I saw on many like Enneagram 4 like groups as well. That I think because we are very emotional, but it's more like a internal emotion. Not really. I know like a lot of Enneagram 4s are FI users, but I also know a few who are not FI users. But I think having Enneagram 4 really does, because we do have a lot of internal emotions, so it can affect how we perceive our past, and we can kind of almost like cherry pick the wrong experiences to remember. And I don't know if that's your experience.
Oh yeah. It's interesting because it wasn't Myers-Briggs that helped me go through my hero's journey. It was Enneagram that actually made everything come together. So even though I push content for my Myers-Briggs, ENFP things, that's just where the community is at, right? But I think for spiritual growth, to truly heal yourself for personal development, I'm a fan of Enneagram. There's something about it and the system that it's so holistic and connecting to everything else. It's not about, it's hard to explain. It's just a feeling that I get that this is honoring of who I am, you know, that essence of who you are and the archetype that you belong to, and then where you're leaning towards your health or when you're stressed out. That just helped me visualize, yep, I've done that. Yep, I've been there. Yes, I have been my worst obstacle for my personal development, and I take ownership of that. And I think that's something that, you know, when you decide to pursue your type of growth with whatever system you do take, I think that facing of yourself is part of it. And that's what Enneagram has done for me, where, yeah, I have cultivated extra pain. I have felt shame. I have identified myself as someone who is extremely pained and misunderstood, and I couldn't let go of that identity. And so I made it more intense because that's all I knew. That's all that people gave me attention for. That's all people reminded me of. Like, you're weird for no reason. You're just, you know, doing weird stuff because you get attention for it. You're like, why don't you be normal? Like, that was the message that I got all the time. And so that is what shaped me, and I became it. And I became this small fragment of who I actually am. I became a lie of who I was. And to go into the groups and just see the universal collective message that people had the same experience, you know, is very validating. And I think that there are some people, I'm going to say they're mistyped fours, but that's another conversation anyways. But like, there is something that gives you hope when other people grow from that personal understanding. Just like, here, I'm putting myself out there. This is my flaws, my imperfections, my beauty, my everything. I'm going to grow with you, but I'm going to first face myself and put everything out there first. So like, that's just how I feel about it.
Right. Yes, I agree with that. And also I think for Enneagram 4 types, especially with the FI, I feel like Enneagram 4s with FI can be even more intense because I know of I think and a lot of NFPs tend to have Enneagram 4, especially INFPs. Um, and what I noticed is that the FI can also have a much more subjective take because I use FE. So even though I obviously I do care about the individuality and all that, and I think my individuality is more focused on the NITI side. But when FI users have Enneagram 4, I tend to notice that, especially if they are dominantly using Enneagram 4, I mean, FI, sorry, they can kind of really base their entire identity on their internal emotions and also on how they want to appear to be the most, I guess, special. I mean, you know what I mean, but like
Yes.
sometimes that can also be an obstacle because especially for INFP's case, they can like overdo it sometimes, and that can actually result in them feeling more alienated when it's not in a situation where they would be otherwise, because they are like actively setting themselves apart from people.
Right.
And I guess like sometimes because of my FE as well, it pushes me to try to not really to fit in. The thing is, I do want to fit in, but it has to be with the right people. Like it's not like forcing myself to fit in. Like I don't believe in that. Like pretending that you have a certain hobby or a certain demeanor when you don't. But it's more like finding the right group to find those people that you can connect with. So I'm always like on the journey to find that, and I totally agree with you saying talking about showing your imperfections, because I think Enneagram 4 types have this fear of not being able to be accepted once we show like the full spectrum of who we are, and that is something that we deal with. Like I think in relationships it's when that fear is the biggest, because it's like you have a lot more on stake, but also in other circumstances, and I have to learn like along the way by really observing other people that that imperfections are actually a great thing to show. Like actually when people are vulnerable, they are more attractive. Obviously not that they are like vulnerable all the time and like making themselves, you know, almost like trying to get someone to rescue them, not to that point, but like when they do show something almost like in a transparent way and not in a way that is ashamed, I feel like they are actually more attractive. So that helps me to realize that for me it's probably the same thing. Yeah.
You mentioned something about wanting to be rescued. I'm not sure how this is the case for other types, but it was either in a video or the book. I'll show the book because I love this book. It's The Wisdom of the Enneagram. You should get it. It's $10. It's a good book. So it's either something that I saw or read, and it mentions how Enneagram 2, 3, and 4, we have this thing where we're like disillusioned by relationships where we want someone to actually save us from ourselves. And I think that I have been there before. I've done it where I limited my role. I knew that this is what someone would respond to. And so, okay, I continue this role, but it's so limiting, right? I'm not showing all parts of who I am. I'm not growing as a person. And yet this is what they like and enjoy. Like it just works, even though it might be unhealthy, it's not growing. But you know that this dynamic works to keep the person around. And so you, in your head or in your mind, whatever it is, you're hoping that this perpetuation, this pattern that you're continuing will somehow have your partner save you. Like you won't have to do the work, they get to do the work for you. And I think that's something we have to consider, because when we're looking towards the negative, we're looking for deficits, right? Because that helps us see things in a way that's like, we're wounded, life is so hard, and we're very special because we struggle and we fight for life. That's like the image that we give ourselves, like, life is so hard for us, I feel so much, like it's so intense. And so like, to kind of continue these labels of how we identify ourselves in our life, we again may become victims of our own lives by not even, we don't do it on purpose. That's the thing. Like, we just tend to believe that it's someone else that's going to help us feel like a whole person, you know?
Yeah, I and especially never mind. I think that was a connection problem. Okay, this was an especially strong tendency when I was a teenager. So I think that was the time when I felt like I needed to like someone else to like save me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just don't believe that anymore. But back in the days, when it was like the most, I guess you can say like the most like unhealthy version of Enneagram 4. Yeah, I definitely felt like I couldn't do it myself. Like, you know, you need someone else on the outside. And I also did the whole like kind of molding my identity to almost like present the most likable traits of myself. And but then I realized that in the end, the thing is my own valuing of personal, like a holistic version of myself actually wins over the need to be liked. So at the end of the day, I still value how I feel about myself more. So after that, I always do small things to kind of challenge that. So like I would be doing something maybe to show traits that I think would be likable, and then I would like go against it because I would feel like, oh, I'm not actually honoring who I am. So, and then it becomes like, the more I do that, the more I'm able to actually showcase like different aspects of myself, because it ends up being like a habit rather than like something that I do occasionally. And so now it's more like I want to showcase more traits of myself from the upfront, so that I feel like you would know for sure if someone is going to appreciate you if you show it up front, rather than if you like, you know, try to present only the likable traits and then like present something else later on.
You're like, surprise, this is all parts of me. Haha, you like me already.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But I also think maybe on the more I guess positive side, I also think that Enneagram 4s can be incredibly, I don't know if that's your experience, but I feel like Enneagram 4s can also be like incredibly attractive people, because a lot of my favorites, like, you know, mostly in the music scene, I guess, are like Enneagram 4 types. And I think because they are so creative, and we do want to preserve the parts of ourselves that are different. So I think that can also be like seen as something that is a good thing that other people do value. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I've wanted to be a singer in a band for a long time. I've wanted to sing for trance anthems since like 2001, 2000. If you ever make trance music and you need someone to do cute vocals, that's me right there. I don't sing, but I'm just saying you could probably tweak my voice to make it sound good. That would work. So I think we do inspire people because we speak up for injustice. We think about the underdogs because we have this lifelong theme of what it means and feels to be misunderstood. Like, we truly embody feeling rejected. Like, that is how I see everything. I think about justice. I think about the voices that are not heard. I think about all the nuances and systems that shape a person's life where they are struggling and fighting and they're misunderstood and people are seen as you're not trying hard enough. It's never the case. I don't think it's ever the case that you're not trying hard enough. It's something about the system that you grew up in, the life circumstances that are beating you up, where you feel like you're disempowered, misunderstood, or your power has been taken away from you. There has to be something else that's a component for how someone ended up the way they are. It's never about not trying hard enough. Like, you give up after a while, sure, but I never, ever would think that the first thing I would think of for someone ending up where they are is because they didn't try. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like many factors. I personally would keep trying, but it's definitely like, I think if we are able to maybe remove some obstacles, it would make it like a lot easier for people in general. That's how I see it.
Oh yeah, you're probably a 5 wing 4. I would give up and cry a little bit because it's overwhelming.
Yeah,
You're
that's
4. You're allowed to give up and cry every now and then. You can cry in your
I don't like
tears.
giving up, I guess. Maybe it's the SE thing speaking right now, but
that would be pretty cool to see the difference. I like taking breaks, but at this stage of my life, no, I'm not giving up because I have taken way too long to not believe in my worth. So anyways, but if you do feel like you ever need to take a break and just like, again, blanket fort and cry, you have my permission to do so.
Yeah, no, I actually think, if it's like a break, it's actually pretty good, I think. Because I think no one is like strong all the time, It's actually good to admit that you need a break and to take a break whenever. Not saying it's a permanent break, anything, but yeah, it's like, I think there are a lot of types that are like maybe on a stronger end and like the opposite of 4, and they just are not able to admit that they also have moments like this, and it's like the other extreme, when they just keep going and then they don't actually they kind of repress that side, and that's like not helpful either.
Like 8. I see you, 8. I see you.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Enneagram 8s are they have a very strong like that, even their energy, it's a lot stronger. So I'm wondering, like, how do you think Enneagram 4 has impacted like maybe your close relations, and also like if you have any maybe advice or just, I guess, takeaways for people of this type when it comes to that?
I am a very withdrawn person. I just don't prefer a lot of socialization. And I know that's different. I know a lot of ENFPs resonate right away when I say that. There's no need to explain, but like, I don't know. I enjoy and appreciate the sharing of cognitive things, ideas, questions, resources for learning information, exploring, the endless links that we have explored, and then we share them, ponderings on personal identity or philosophies and things like that. I don't really need, this is my defense, like I'm explaining how I am, that I don't enjoy too much face-to-face contact or stimulation from other people. I know that I get drained quickly. So I have a couple ENFPs that I mentor. They're younger, they're super excited, very bubbly, and they want to champion a cause. And so I'll sit with them, I'll chat with them, and I am pretty much done at the 2-hour mark. And it's just I'm 38, having this lifetime of being so separate from people and feeling misunderstood for so long. This is my I guess my equilibrium. I know how long I can last, and it's overstimulation at that point. And so I'm pretty picky with who I spend my time with, very selective with when I can like mentally prep my mind and my body for a family gathering, going out to see someone, and then I do feel drained, again, 2-hour mark, 3-hour mark, if I'm, slept really well and just like ate really good the day before, just like, I'm ready for it. But the reasonings that I have in my mind, or the pattern that got me to this point, is again the history of feeling rejected and misunderstood, being told that I am too sensitive and too intense. Like the intensity part is what helps me separate myself from people, where I don't want to harm others. I don't want other people to feel like my energy and redirections of like it's weird though. It's like an explosion that like goes down really fast. Like when my subjective pain happens, and it's so funny because it does dissipate so quickly, and yet having the experience of people not being able to what quote unquote handle it over and over again is like, I'm dealing with it myself. I'm going to self-soothe by myself. I'm going to process whatever happened to myself. I'm going to think out loud by myself. I don't need other people to think out loud with, because they're going to either try and solve my problem. I don't want them to. They're going to say that they're going to tell me that I'm being too intense or like reactive about something, which I don't want to hear either. I'm not. I know I'm not. I'm a very even keeled person to most people in my life. So to have someone say that to me when I need just that, space to be intense when I'm a human being, like 90%, 95% of my time, I'm so chill. Like this is my voice. I'm calming. I have animals flock to me because I'm like walking Mother Nature. Like people seek guidance from me. I'm calm. And yet that sliver of time where I need someone to be intense with, just to like vent something, it hasn't been the case where it's been a positive experience. So I'll deal with it myself. I can handle it by myself. I don't really need anyone for that type of engagement. And again, this is my reasonings for how things have come to be to this space.
I'm an FE user, so I feel the need to be around people more when it comes to because I like the idea of like basically people in harmony. It sounds very FE, but with like people that I actually connect with, not with like random people forcing harmony. But because I have this need of like feeling this, because FE thrives on emotional like connection and validation, so there is like an external factor to it.
Mm-hmm.
And also I have a social variance. So if you know about instinctual variance, social variance means that you kind of need that social feedback. And so I think for me, how that affects my close relations is that I am also very selective with who I choose to be around. Because of the Enneagram 4, I don't want to be around people if I were to feel misunderstood. Because I have very specific types of people that I tend to get along with, and people that I don't. So like I would really pick and choose who I want to be around, and I don't enjoy like forced basically forced interactions, like when you have like certain gatherings and you have to interact with some people. That's like something that I would like basically leave after a while. But I do actively try to spend time with people that I feel misunderstood with. So that's like a kind of, it helps me to balance it out. Like, because when I spend more time with people who do make me feel understood, then it lessens the Enneagram 4 issues
Mm-hmm.
of because sometimes it's also an identity that we choose to kind of get a little too attached to.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had those experiences, and so we keep thinking of that as being us. But when we actually are able to create better ones, so like what I'm like always trying to do, and also I think it got better after I got like older, and that like can help to like balance it out from the whole needing to be withdrawn from people who are not like on the same wavelength.
Yep. And I withdraw a lot. That's my thing. But I get the social feedback that I need through different types of exchanges. And so for me, it's kind of like my, I guess, not sacrifice, but my mode of obtaining what I need right now while I'm still searching for the people who do understand me, that I don't have to perpetuate that identity.
Yeah. I think, it's also healthier. It's also better for us to limit our time with certain people that we know after many tries or after many encounters that are like not on the same wavelength. Because I think since Enneagram 4 types or people with that tendency are going to kind of experience that in a more intense way. So I think for us, even more than other types, we have to be selective with who we spend our time with, because that can really affect, that can really like impact us emotionally, like whether in a positive or negative way. So it can be like either or, like bring us up or, the other way. So I think we also touched on like feeling guarded in, I guess, in like our relationships. So would you like to talk about maybe some of the experiences of that?
Oh yeah, I'm guarded all the time. Period. So conversation's over. So like when it comes to okay, I'll share. Like, gosh. So I'm like a networker, right? It's part of what I love to do about the field that I'm in, mental health, healing arts, coaching, education. I'm in so many freaking groups. I don't know how many therapists and coaches I know, like thousands of them. And I kind of bounce around. I even admin a lot of groups where I feel like I'm an imposter because I'm not a therapist, and yet they trust me enough to be an admin for a couple therapy groups. And like, okay, I'll do it. I'll admin, I'll help mod. But like, again, a part of me feels like I don't belong because I'm not a therapist, but I want to belong. So I'll lurk, I'll do my role. And again, there's this part of me that feels like, I don't know if I should completely participate. And so I'll disappear for like a week. I'll come back to check in on Mondays because it's Marketing Monday, and then disappear again. And so like, it is just the thing that I'll do. I'll jump around from group to group. And that's actually what I did in high school too, where, but then I ended up in a group with people who were like misfits, and we all felt misunderstood. So it was nice. But anyways, like, I was a very quiet and observant person in high school, and watching other people be authentic and colorful and bright and outspoken, it really served as this pivotal moment to see that, you don't have to be scared to speak your truth. And so like, that's just like a snippet of high school. And then when it came to relationships, I think I'm a very, what you would call it, late bloomer. So I didn't date. Yeah. I didn't date a lot. I don't know how many partners you can like less than 5 partners, like I don't really actively seek that. It's something that I don't think I consider often. I think, again, as someone asked me this question with maybe a podcast or another interview, and I talked about how more important it is for me to obtain knowledge than relationships. I was just being very honest about that want in my life. It could be my, making excuses for not being social, but also I do love information. I love gathering knowledge and putting information together to kind of formulate something novel and different. And I think that's just, for me, it's a comfort. I don't know if I am intellectualizing. I don't know. But like, again, to weigh the difference between the two of knowledge and human connection, I don't know. I use information to connect more to people. Like, that's my bridge to connect with people instead of the other way around. And I think that the guardedness is I do find humanity a fascination. I do find social constructs and interactions a fascinating thing to kind of understand, because there's a lot of things I don't understand about it.
Same.
Right? So like gender identity, gender roles, the concept of beauty and attraction and sexual things, like it is very foreign to me, and I'll not my default fascination with people, and yet it's a very confusing thing to see all the time, that people are so driven by their primal instincts, because I am not. And so like when I do see people who are by default leaning towards that mode of self-expression and being very open about that part of their identity, it is very interesting to me. And as like I'm reaching almost 40, this is something new to actually experience and learn more about. Again, like that late bloomer stuff, it is just something that I didn't think about before, because thinking about and being withdrawn as a young person, it's all internal. I haven't been very active in the external world for so long that I do feel like there's a lot of things that I don't know about me as a person. And that's, I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what it made me think about. Like the withdrawing part is like being connected to humanity and actual people is something that, since you've been withdrawn for so long, that it's something still new to me.
Right. And I think for me, I'm less withdrawn when it comes to friendships, as in I'm less, I guess, I'm more of open to like knowing more people and so on. But when it comes to relationships, I'm definitely a lot more, I would say I take less risk, if that makes sense. And I think along the way, someone gave me the advice, which I don't remember who, might be a combination of people and videos, of being like more open to like, just like being more open to receiving, because I used to be like very, like I would feel like I don't really trust if they are basically like, I don't know, showing their affection too early on and so on. I mean, obviously not to the extreme points, because that is not trustworthy for sure. But like sometimes I think um because of the whole like guarded nature, like I tend to be not as open to receiving compared to in my friendships, because I think I feel less guarded in my friendships, because I have like less, I don't hold it up to such an importance, but like I actually do really value relationships, because it is something that I feel is you're going to spend like a lot of one-on-one time, so it has to be like a quality person. I mean, it has to be like someone on your wavelength and all that, because we do get affected emotionally by people around us a lot. So if someone is going to be around you for that long, it's going to be the main person who impact you. So I really do take my time in like I'm pretty selective, I think. And because I have the funny thing is that when I was younger, I was a lot more, I think I was a lot more naive. And then when I was like grew older, because I was like too trusting when I was younger. Like I wasn't like intentionally trusting. It's just that I didn't have the experiences to kind of teach me to look out for certain things in people. So, and then I grew up and I went to the other extreme, like being like not trusting. And then now I have to like moderate it, like I have to like look at the signs, and then also at the same time be more open to like receiving, um, like when people genuinely are showing affection, and then having to like differentiate that from people who are just showing like casual affection and all that. um, and I think being an Enneagram 4, it also makes me gravitate more towards I don't know if this is like an Enneagram 4 thing, but I think because I am I guess more cautious with like what I put my emotional energy towards. So now I actually feel safer around introverts.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying all extroverts are like a certain way, because obviously you are different, and I do have more trust for extroverts who are not social all the time. But I do tend to notice that I am able to trust people who value their alone time more, because sometimes I feel like when I'm with people who are able to show their affection too easily, like I tend to withdraw my trust, if that makes sense, because it's also related to like the personal significance thing. Like we don't want to feel like we are ordinary, if that makes sense. Like we don't want to be treated like we are like part of this like um whole group of people. Like want to be given we want to be shown that we are valued as a person on a personal level, rather than like just like giving random friendliness that is the same. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we want people to actually see you for your uniqueness, right? And before I respond, I want to tell you I like your lipstick color. It's really pretty on you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks good. In general, I do like that, there's no need for attention seeking and like seeking that high stimulation, high sensory feedback that extroverts need. It is overwhelming. Like I have a limited supply of energy to give. And so it just makes sense for me to not need to be around so many extroverts. But it is fascinating to be around a true extrovert, like an ESTP or an ESFP, like when they're on their A game. If you go to like some type of networking event or a party and like the charmer comes out and you get to see them work the room, I think that's very fascinating.
Yes, I'm very impressed by that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
I have inferior SE, so I'm very impressed by people who not even like not necessarily only ESPs, but just people who are able to influence the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Okay, I think for me it's like I am able to appreciate them, and I'm also able to I guess trust them if they are able to show that they kind of value me on a personal level. It's like hard to explain, but you kind of know if someone values you on a personal level compared to if they are just friendly with you. Because the thing is with extroverts, like sometimes it's hard to tell the difference because they tend to be just like a social animal in general.
Mm-hmm.
They're like friendly towards everybody, and they can really like interact with a lot of people. And sometimes they kind of over interact or something. I don't know, but I kind of prefer a more like ambiverted. I mean that I know some people say it's not a thing, but I think it's like easier to explain that way. Like a more ambiverted extrovert, I prefer that compared to someone who is completely like has to be social all the time or goes out with like 10 plus people every day. That kind of overwhelms me, and also like the whole, because I really do need to feel like in a close relationship that is like I do need to feel like I am different from the rest. I know that sounds like everyone wants to feel that way, but it's really important for me because I don't want to feel like, oh, they're just with me because it is the easy thing to do, or it's like oh, they are the same way with everybody, like they're friendly to everyone on the same level. And if they are able to differentiate the way they treat me compared to other people, then it's still okay. Like if they are able to show that, but if they are just like in general friendly to everyone, then it kind of takes away for me it kind of takes away the attraction, because I know some people who do tend to have that tendency, I guess.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I think that it feels authentic when you have that. It is special treatment. You want that in a relationship. If you want a friendship, I think I should be treated more more authentically. Something you see within me feels nurtured when you talk to me or how you treat me. It's just, I'm not this number of a friend that you need to fulfill your energy cup, and that I wouldn't want to feel that way. And so it is very difficult to differentiate. It's difficult to determine because, you know, when I have extrovert mode on, a lot of people wonder, like, are you flirting with someone when you praise them? Like, I just love giving people compliments. I'm not flirting. But a lot of people think that it's like one of those indications that someone's interested in you romantically. Like, I'm not interested in you, buddy. Like, I like
that's when you know.
Right. I just like making people feel good, but like, so I have to like turn it off. Okay, well, if most people consider this, then I guess I'll just keep my kind words to myself, because a lot of people think they take it the wrong way. So I'll save my praise for the people that I care about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you can add like bro at the end. Like, looking good, bro.
Yeah.
That might help. I don't know.
It does.
And they may look very sad after that, but
yep, too bad I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I do have the extrovert mode sometimes. But I think I tend to not overdo it compared to some extroverts. My throwing flag. I don't know, like, as in, I do compliment people and I can be very friendly as well, but I don't like, I don't know. I think I still have like certain boundaries, but I feel like some extroverts sometimes like really overdo it, because
what's the boundary? What does that mean?
It's like I don't say things that are like going to be seen as extremely flirtatious if I don't really know people that well. Like, I mean, I can compliment them, sure. Like, maybe it's like, oh, nice outfit, you know, that kind of compliment, but not like something that is like overtly flirtatious. But I don't know about you, but I know like some extroverts are able to do that. A lot of people, I mean, ESPs are one of them, not the only ones, but they are. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just that, you know, sometimes because I am generally a more guarded person, so it's like either they treat me differently, like in a really obvious way, or I don't really date them.
Yes, that's what I want. Yep, that's what I want too. Like, if you're gonna date me, you need to show the world that you love everything about me. Like, just like scream it into the world, like into the universe, that you want to be with me. That's awesome.
No. Points taken to whoever is watching and interested.
I'll make a long list. I want love letters. I want roses. I want chocolates. I want poetry. I want a song in my name.
Wow. You might have to maybe date a musician guy.
I've heard not to.
Oh yeah, but they might turn out to be those who like make a song for like everyone.
Heartbreak. Any song for anybody.
Yeah. The thing is, yeah, I think I changed. I think I kind of changed a little bit of my preferences as I grew older. I think we can talk, like, we can end on the more like personal development for Enneagram 4s, which I wanted to touch on, but I kind of forgot. But it's basically like, as I grow older, I feel like I value certain things more, like the whole, you know, like what we said about being treated like we are actually important to that person. And obviously when I was younger, I wasn't thinking so much. I was just like, oh, whoever I'm interested in, I'm interested in them. But now I think my attraction for people is a lot more of a choice. Like, I can actually literally, I can feel like if they do something that lessens my trust for them, like, obviously it has to be something big, not like any random thing. But if they really do something that lessens my trust for them, I can literally lose attraction for them pretty fast. Like, it's because I have this more, I think the logic, I think Enneagram 4 types do need that as well. And when we focus on ourselves and what feels good to us, rather than like going wherever our feelings take us, it can actually, I think it can actually be helpful. Then we don't end up like going for people or things that we know are not going to benefit us emotionally.
Mm-hmm. So my Enneagram coach friend, he gave me a really good tip on the wings. He has a unique perspective. He doesn't think the tri-type exists, but he also thinks the wings don't exist. He thinks that it's about balancing both, right? Because
Right.
he
Yes.
talks about the bird, right? If you're a bird with one wing stronger than the other, then you're going in one direction, you're going in circles. And so that was really great visual for me to understand, like, yes, I've been using my 5 wing for way too long. I've been so cerebral where I withdraw and I love knowledge more than people, right? And so for those who lean towards 4 wing 5 like I do, my advice would be to kind of bump up your 3, put yourself out there, be okay with accomplishments. Like, we're there for a reason. We can help people see the uniqueness of their identity, their voice, help people feel like we know what it's like to be misunderstood. We can do that. We can infuse some type of humanity and awareness into whatever industry or cause or work that we're doing, and we can promote it with the 3 wing. Like, don't dismiss or take away your power and thinking that you can only stay in the 5. Like, that is a disservice to your voice, a disservice to your growth as a person. You deserve to grow. Just because you've had this experience doesn't mean that it will always be this way. Like, we are proof. Like, we're going to contemplate, we're going to grow, we're going to go back and forth and look at all parts of who we are and know that, what, you're going to start leaning towards the 3 if you've been working too much in 5. But same for the opposite. If you've been too much of a go-getter and chasing achievements for your identity, maybe it's okay to withdraw and contemplate on some things as well. It's about that balance.
Yeah. And I also think, I don't know who came out with the theory, but personally, in my experience, I also don't think that, I don't know if the wing exists, but for me, it's like 5 and 4 have both been very strong. For me, like there are things that I relate to them in different ways, and also in different areas of life, because obviously 5 is a lot more intellectual, I would say, whereas 4 is a lot more emotional. So definitely they sometimes overlap, sometimes they don't. But for me, I don't experience it as a wing. I just feel like both are very important to me in different ways. So yeah, I think balancing it is really helpful. And also 5 is a lot more logical. So that's what I have been kind of helping out the 4 as well, because 5 can help you to see things from a more detached perspective. And 4 is just a lot more personal. Like, it sees people, emotions in a very personal way. And sometimes that can kind of be a little too much, and then you need the other to balance it, to perspective wise. Would you say, like, do you think there are things that are maybe helpful for Enneagram 4 in terms of maybe like in terms of their friendships and relationships, and also maybe in terms of relationship with themselves? Like, do you have any tips maybe in what they can do, either practically speaking or on a more, like, I guess, spiritual level, or whatever term you want to use?
Yes. So I would like to weave in some facets of mindfulness, grounding yourself. Like, when you're aroused, like that, it's like a firework that bursts really fast within your body. Like, you get consumed with that heat, that energy, that feeling of rejection or overwhelm with whatever emotion you're experiencing. So go back to your body. Like, we are so guided by emotions that we forget to see what's existing in the moment. So, like, Myers-Briggs, right? SE. What do you smell right now? Like, take a deep breath in. What do you feel? You can use your toes. I wiggle my toes when I need to ground myself. And I think it's a funny thing to tell people when I work with them, like, hey, just wiggle your toes. You're feeling kind of stressed out, you're overwhelmed. How about you just wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle your fingers, feel your body, and then like picture the energy going around, going to your fingers, to your toes, and kind of exiting your body. And that's like a powerful thing to do because it takes a while to get that picture going, that flow, you know, and that's more of like Eastern philosophies too, with your chakra network. It's all energy, you know, you're all connected to the universe. We take in what the earth and the universe gives us. We can give it back. It's not yours to keep if it doesn't serve you any purpose. So the spiritual component that I have is like, you can talk to whoever guides you, you know, your greater connection to whatever being or entity is like, if it's not mine to keep, please take it back, you know. I think it's very powerful, you know, very releasing of things that we cannot control, because there's so much that you can take in as a human being. You're one person, you cannot hold it all. It's even though we do take a lot more than I think most types do, I acknowledge that we take in a lot more than other people can, but that also gives us compassion, again, for the underdog and the misunderstood. But you don't have to keep it, just give it back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think there's also a lot of ways that Enneagram 4 types can have that outlets. I think it's good to have a creative outlets. I think expressing ourselves is something that is very important to Enneagram 4 types, and finding that expression is also really important. Like whether, you know, it's like through singing, if that's what you are passionate about, or just like any venue that is, you know, the most natural. I think Enneagram 4 type should really go for that outlets, because I honestly think that Enneagram 4 types have a lot of talents when it comes to, you know, creative stuff. I mean, that's like something innate anyway. So it's like, why not show that, you know, why not like give it back? Because it really is I think it is a gift that if you have something that it really stands out, like might as well, you know, present it. And it also helps with the whole like balancing it out, like the internal external thing. And lastly, I wonder if your Enneagram type affects the type of people that you tend to gravitate towards. I mean, it can be like friendship or whatever, just in general. Like, does it affect the kind of traits that you look for in people?
I think I gravitate towards a lot of 2s because they want to care for me and protect me and save me. Because I'm such a wounded 4. So it's great to have the caregiving. It's awesome. They just want to like support me, nurture me, and like, you're the best, Boonie. You can do the thing. I believe in you. Like, it's a great feeling, and I will help inspire them to be their unique selves. Also, I think I lean towards. It's this weird thing with 7s and 8s where they're very strong with their presentations, and it's intense for me. So like, I'll be there to observe them, and yet it's a lot. So I think it's confusing for me when I do find that 8s or 7s are drawn to me, because they are very, I don't want to say hard-headed, but that's the word I'm thinking of, when they are, you know, doing whatever that their 7 or 8ness does for them in the environment. Is just, it's a lot to take in, but somehow they gravitate towards me.
Do you gravitate towards them?
I don't want to, but they kind of like scoop me up. They're like, hey, little 4, we're going to take you with us. And they put me in their pocket and they take me along.
Aww. So. No, because they like to protect people. The thing is, I think 8-wing 7s and 7-wing 8s, they like to protect people. And I don't know, maybe it's connected to also MBTI type, like, because you mentioned that you like STPs, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Do you think they tend to be 8-wing 7s? Because I see a
Yeah.
lot of 8-wing 7s.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess then
I guess, whatever.
I guess it's like the mutual gravitation. But yeah, I think it's a hit or miss for me. I mean, I don't really look at Enneagram types when it comes to pairings, because I don't know a lot of people's Enneagram types.
Mhm.
But yes, I think people who like to play the protective role, sometimes in friendships too. Like I have some ESTP friends who really like to play the protective role, but it's not like a rescuer role.
Mhm.
It's more like a protective role.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not looking for a rescuer anymore. It's just that was like so yesterday.
Mhm.
Now I'm like, ew, no.
Yeah, no thanks.
Come to do that. But like it's more like because they are so strong in the way they present themselves. Like they like to, be like the big sister kind of feeling.
Yeah.
I like that. Because Enneagram 4 is more, we give off a more vulnerable feeling,
Right.
It's naturally, I guess that's why they gravitate
towards
that. But I also think that Enneagram 4 can be I think people have a sad stereotype for Enneagram 4s, which I guess it comes from a brooding, artistic stereotype. But I think we can be, we can learn a lot from the other wings. I mean, from the other types. Like 7, I learned so much from 7. I don't know. I know 7 can sound like a very complete opposite, but I feel like I really learned a lot from them. And I think I have become a more balanced version. I mean, also because I lean into 5 and I lean into other, aspects of my personality. And I think 4s, when they are healthy, we are capable of being very dynamic and very creative, and also because we do care about individuality. So for me, I tend to look for individuality in other people, and anybody that I am ever interested in remotely, they have to have somewhat of an individualistic streak, if that makes sense. Like I'm not really, like I'm just not attracted to people who are conformists by nature, because there are people like that. There are literally people who told me like they enjoy like being the same as the general, like how people are. Like they don't want to stand out in like, they don't want to be seen as different. But I tend to be attracted to people who embrace whatever is different about them, like not in a way that it's like attention seeking, but it's just like in a natural way. Like, it's like, oh, this is what I'm interested in. Like, I don't care if you are or not. Like, I'm still going to be this way. And it's like so attractive to me. That's why I really like, I am really attracted to some people with also wing 4. Because I do like the individuality. So yeah.
Yeah, I do like the balance of honoring your uniqueness, but also knowing that you can be express it in a certain way that's not overbearing. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, and not necessarily always sad as well. It can be like
no thanks.
It can be like embrace your differences in a confident way type of energy. And I think that's why healthy Enneagram 4s and also other types who are able to do that are really attractive, because I think people in general, they do find that attractive. It's just that not everyone can embrace that fully. It's like an inspiring thing to do.
Yes, I want to repeat what you said and kind of reframe it in a certain way. A lot of 4s have been there too. We think that sadness is a personality trait. It's not. It's something to empower yourself and overcome and heal through. It's not part of you that will stay forever. It revisits because that's life, and yet you can be more than sad.
Yeah, definitely. You can just like experience the spectrum. I mean, spectrum is like everyone is using the word now, but you can literally experience the spectrum of emotions. I think that's where a healthy 4 can So because we value emotions, but it's like the full spectrum is more fun, you know.
Yes.
We all have everything. I mean, we all do as people, but like we can experience all of them intensely. So it's like when we are happy, we can also experience them intensely. So it's like the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than sticking to the brooding, we can experience like everything.
Right.
Okay, so I guess that ends the video in a positive note. I have made another video on Boonie's channel, so you can check out the video and as well as our channel in the link below. Bye.